Richard Paul Evans wrote a children's book entitled The Christmas Candle. It's about a boy named Thomas who is out somewhere on Christmas Eve and begins to walk home by the light of a lantern that is fueled by a candle. On the way, a woman emerges out of the shadows and asks for some coins. When his lantern reveals in the light who it is, he sees his mother. And so he gives his cloak to her to keep her warm against the cold, probably on a night similar to this. But as she retreats back into the shadows, her appearance changes to again reveal a stranger. As he moves on a little way, a figure lying in the gutter appears to be his brother, and so he takes him and carries him to an inn. And since Thomas has no money with him, he gives the owner of the inn his knapsack, which contains a new pair of trousers. He would do anything to try and preserve his brother from the cold. But as Thomas lays his brother on the floor of the inn, that figure again changes to someone he does not recognize. When he is almost home, a tiny child, identical to his sister, asks for food, but he has nothing left to give, and so he leaves her with nothing. Arriving at home, sitting down to a table prepared for a sumptuous feast, he realizes immediately that he has left a family member behind. And so running back to the young girl, he brings her home with him, aware now that everyone is a member of his family. The author Evans concludes, if we will see things as they truly are, we will find that all, from great to small, belong to one family. And this truth, known from the beginning of time, is perhaps seen best in the joyous illumination of Christmas. The first people to be illuminated by Christmas were shepherds, lowly, uneducated people who lived with their animals. They were not the only ones, of course, but they were the first to be called to welcome the Savior. It was no accident that such lowly people would be called in first to pay homage to Christ. It is to the lowly, after all, that Christ first came as Lord and Savior. The circumstances of his birth testify to this. As we just heard in our gospel, that his mother wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the place where travelers lodged. Christmas is the great feast of our being a people filled with wonder at the nearness of our God. We just heard in the scriptures of last Sunday, a couple of days ago, that this Messiah, this Savior, this Jesus is Emmanuel, God with us. And so the nearer we are to our God, the nearer we should become to his lowly ones, who are very special to him. We would not be celebrating Christmas unless God had sent his archangel Gabriel to announce to Mary that she was to be the mother of his Son. If the heavenly host of angels hadn't heralded the good news of the Savior's birth to the shepherds, if the shepherds hadn't gone forth and told that good news to all of their friends, and if the evangelists had not written it down in the scriptures for future generations, We are challenged at Christmas to do what Jesus and the angels did, to bring the good news of redemption to the outcast and to the lowly. Those tidings of great joy are to be shared by the whole people. No one is to be left out, not even those we consider to be hopeless or despicable. The challenge is for us to find ourselves in the Christmas story, in one of the lowly ones to whom Christ appears, in one of those who announces the good news of God's presence in our life, and in one who sees the face of Christ in the eyes of another, no matter how insignificant that other person may seem to us. At Christmas, we celebrate the gift of family. Mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles and cousins, and brothers and sisters. But the Christ child, God with us, reminds us that everyone is our brother and sister.